Well, that was a wild Sunday for so many reasons. And we're going to talk about all those reasons why a lot of what happened on Sunday is really, really good for the Cleveland Browns, what kind of position the Cleveland Browns are in, and what does this game and how they played in this game, what does that mean for the Browns' future? Like, should we be concerned, or, are there deeper things to talk about than just a win? We're going to talk about all that, but before I do, I want to make sure I give a shout out to the patreon.com dog check tier members. I'm going to start with Michael Matique, Cam Vex, Jalil Salim Jr. and Sr., Caleb Pickering, Benjamin Woods, Michael Terry, Sam28, Wani Boy, Rob Morehouse, Tyler Chiz, Michael Morales, Mark Kahn, Max Haymaker, Nick Merrick, D.A.J., Joe Hart, Gabriel Wilson, Fred Pat III, David Valtiar, Relentless Buck, Rex Kaufman, Kevin Johnson, Cleveland Cart, Matt H., Sign Sheets, Gemini, Leon Freeman, Fight 3074, Chunt, Yo-Yo, Matt Lloyd, Paul Wilcox, Hondo Magnifico, Cal Stoffer, Lukey from Munich, Dave Roth, J Guy 101, Musty Taco, Brad Cowbo, Dylan W, James McGinley, Arendal, Chad Gimme, David Maldonado, Josh Spindor, Austin Rich, Mark M, Stuart Moore, Dylan Hill, Cleveland BCI, Robert Germain, Dave Mike May, Andrew Hirsch, Curtis Bayer, Batman, Barack Kumar, John Albert, Beerman 069, Masayua, Butts Roland, Mac House, Reeve Hertz, Philip Wilcoxon, Marie Vivert, Sean Barron, Goggles Pisano, Dom Gazzulo, Nick Nasty, Ian Whitaker, Colin 216, Christian, Dave Strong, Michael Stone, Soul Train, Billy, Moose Gentry, Austin Z, Mark Burnett II, Andre Griffin, Otis Wolf, Dog Pound Kai, Greg Ehlers, Austin Bolin, Lydia Mahawk, Alexander Davis, Chris Falms, Picktown Browns backer, Max Nilakenko, Max Al Dojo, and Water Bear Marketing. Okay, guys, thank you so much for your support. It means a ton to me. And if you want your name on the patreon.com dog check list, hit the link down in the description below so you can join the Patreon. But now back to the video. Okay, so this game, man, oh my gosh. This game, I have a lot to say about this game. I'm going to just try to break it into parts. We're going to start with the part of this game that needs the most praise. Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett's great. Myles Garrett is the best player on the Cleveland Browns. He is such a freak athlete. I mean, I don't know of many more superlatives that I can throw at Myles Garrett before it just becomes words at this point. But Myles Garrett, man, I mean, just unbelievable football player. Very good at this thing we call football. He's a freakish athlete. We knew that, but he is such a clutch and dominating player. Like, you just got to love it. There's never been a player like this in Cleveland at the defensive end position, most certainly. And he just took home the single season sack franchise record, and he did it in 14 weeks. He didn't even need the extra 3. He did it in, extra 4. He did it in 14 weeks. Gotta love that. And he scored a touchdown today. So Myles Garrett, obviously great. JOK, phenomenal. Denzel Ward, even more phenomenal. You know what I mean? I feel like the stars on this defense, the people who needed to make plays, Jadeveon Clowney, right? The people who needed to make plays on the defense, the stars that you lean on to make plays, that you pay the big dollars to make plays, made plays, came up big in the clutch. Myles Garrett, obviously, he got that touchdown before halftime. Jadeveon Clowney, that man was clutch all day. Like, it might not show up in sack numbers, but he was clutch all day. This is as good as Jadeveon's been since he's been in Houston. He might even be better than he was in Houston at this point. But Jadeveon Clowney, fantastic. Came through in the clutch. We needed him desperately at the end of this game. Got a huge sack on Tyler Huntley. After Tyler Huntley was shaking everybody this entire game, they finally got his hands on him. Finally pushing back. Takk McKinley had a good game too. I want to make sure we don't forget that. Takk McKinley was solid. Malik McDowell was solid. And then Denzel Ward, solid all day. Like, Denzel Ward, he has like the strongest shoulders in the world because he's not a big dude, but he hits hard. Did that today, played real tough today. Denzel Ward looking like the Warden, looking better than the Warden has ever looked. And when we get Greg Newsome back, we're gonna be real secure on both those corners. We're gonna be in a good spot defensively speaking. I have nothing but good things to say about this defense. Yes, they gave up a couple of scores on a couple of drives, But as well as this defense played, as many turnovers, like they forced like 6 turnovers in the last 2 games versus the Ravens. They deserve to be able to give up a couple of touchdowns without people jumping down their throats. Like I'm sorry, this defense has been the only reason the Browns are still in it this year is the defense. And this was a new unit that people were given a lot of flack at the beginning of the year that came together late and are playing to expectation. Right, we kind of expected that this defense would get better late. They did. And honestly, this defense is at expectation, if not exceeding that expectation of what we thought this defense could be. So defensively, this team is very good. Very, very good. They still might have those flashes of, right, like the New England game. But for the most part, I feel like they're very good. Now, let's talk about special teams. Not some great news on here. I think we're going to have a little bit of a soft reboot on these special teams. First of all, punt returner. I don't know what it is with this team, but we trot out the worst possible punt returners who make the worst possible decisions every year. Since Josh Cribbs has left, we have not had a good punt returner. And Donovan Peoples-Jones, he can return well. He just never made the right decision with the football, drive people crazy. That's why he got taken off a punt return. And then you look at Dimitri Felton, who I thought was okay, but he muffs 2 punts. He muffed 2 punts today. Just muffed them. Straight up muffed them. JoJo Natson was all right in returns. He didn't do anything like big time, but he did put his foot on out of bounds to get a legal procedure penalty on a kickoff. So, it's a heads-up play by JoJo Natson, that's going to put him on one of them like football highlight reels with like 1,000 IQ play or whatever. So shout out to JoJo. JoJo was good on special teams, and the special teams coverage is fine. It's just punt returning, man. Like the punt returning, it sucks. It's awful. And if you watch the Cincinnati game, it can cost you a game. So like we can't be playing with these muff punts. If you muff a punt, you done. So I'm over Dimitri Felton returning these punts. He's done for the rest of the year at returning these punts. I know that might seem harsh, but we had the harsh part of the year. If you muff 2 punts in a row, you're done, bro. You're done. You're never going back for a punt this year. It's not happening anymore. Even if people get injured, we will throw Myles Garrett back there to catch them punts before we throw you back there. So it's over. Kicker, man. Now, you know how I am about kickers. I famously am not attached to kickers. I don't think you should be attached to kickers. I don't love them. I don't trust them. And I don't cuff them. Like, that is what I am with these kickers. I'm in the streets. I am future Hendrix when it comes to these kickers. I don't have a main. It's just the one I'm with at the time when it comes to kickers. That's how I am. I don't have an attachment. I know a lot of you guys love to get attached to these kickers. Every time a kicker makes a field goal, you guys get excited, make Twitter accounts, put that kicker's face as your Twitter avatar, and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't like kickers. We have done this with so many mediocre kickers over the years. With Austin Seibert, Zane Gonzalez, like Cody Parkey. We have done the kicker standing thing to death. Y'all know I don't believe in standing kickers. I don't think that's what you should do. And this is proving it, right? Chase McLaughlin started off the year good. He made a couple of long field goals, had people thinking maybe this could be our guy. Is he the Browns' Justin Tucker? That's something I unironically heard people say. He done missed like 3 field goals in 2 games or something like that. He got to go. He's got to go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Chase McLaughlin. You got to go. We got to let you go. We got to go to the other one. We got to let Christopher kick the ball now. But you cannot be kicking for this team anymore. Like, it's a wrap, bro. You have missed enough field goals. We wouldn't have been having our booty cheeks clenched so tightly if you would have made your field goal earlier in this game. But you didn't make the field goal, so now we clinched with 1 minute left to go. Luckily, the defense bailed us out, but that don't change how I feel about the kicker. Homeboy got to go. He done missed too many kicks. Let's get a new one in here. Let's redo this. You know what I mean? That is what it is. So Brown's probably going to look for a new kicker. We might have a new punter because Dustin Colquitt came in here and he had a phenomenal game, quite frankly. He was really good at punter. Much better than Jamie Gillian has been. So, unfortunately, I hate to see somebody lose their job because they got COVID, but he might lose his job because he got COVID. Anything else on the special teams that's worth talking about? Nah, probably not. All right, let's talk about the offense. Now, I know what you guys are expecting. This offense didn't look good. They put up like 17 points. They looked fine in the first half. Second half was, it was the Browns offense. But I'm not going to eviscerate this offense. I'm not going to eviscerate Alex Van Pelt. I'm not going to eviscerate Kevin Stefanski. I am actually going to afford this offense some grace. I am going to give them a break. Why am I going to give them a break? Well, before I explain why I give them a break, I want to make sure people understand why people are upset about this offense, right? People are upset about this offense because whenever the Browns need a pull-away score, need a secure score, need a secure first down, right? Just needs to do something offensively that will put the game out of reach so we don't have to worry no more. They don't do it. I think that's what it mainly boils down to. Yes, the lack of scoring is there, but we would deal with the lack of scoring if we felt like the offense could put away a game and make us feel comfortable in that aspect. The thing that we hate about this offense is we know without a doubt they're going to do something that makes this game closer than it really needs to be because they're not going to execute at key times. That's what drives us crazy about this offense. It is the absolute truth. And I am not saying that is acceptable. That is unacceptable. But this week, I'm going to cut them some slack. I know on the surface, it seems like not to cut them slack because the Ravens didn't have starting corners, all this stuff, but it was a windy game. It was an elemental game, especially early on, kind of took the passing game out of it, or at least affected the passing game. And they didn't have 2 out of 3 tight ends. And as much as we hate that they go to 3 tight ends so much, that is what their go-to. They did not have their go-to. So I'm not going to fully say that this is the offense after the bye week, after this game. Even though some of these things that exist, they're bigger than that. But I'm just going to afford them some grace. Mainly because I don't feel like spending the whole week bitching about the offense, quite frankly. I just don't want to do that this week. But also because I want to see even if they have everything that they need, even after a bye week, are they still going to perform in the same way that they were before this? Is something going to change when they have everything that they feel like they need? If that continues to stink, after this week, once they get everybody back, yeah, we got major problems. But, it is what it is. Now, I want to talk about Kevin Stefanski as well, because I think Kevin Stefanski needs to be afforded some grace here from some fans. I don't think this is all fans. I think this is a vocal subset of fans, but I also want to be clear. I don't think this is something that Browns fans only do. I think every team wants to fire their coach, no matter how successful. Every team wants to fire their coach, right? After 2019, after 2020, in 2019, quite frankly, people wanted Bill Belichick fired in New England. Not a lot of people, but some people. Every year, somebody wants John Harbaugh fired. Every year, somebody wants Mike Tomlin fired. But that's just how it goes when you watch a football season over a year. You just get frustrated with something the coach is the guy you point at. So, again, I'm not blaming people for being upset at the coach. It's kind of what we're wired to do as fans. But I will say this. To the people who legitimately want to fire Kevin Stefanski, I think we need to ease up on that and just afford this man some grace. Why? Well, one, I think we forget he is a under 40 years old, second-year head coach. He is super young, and he's super inexperienced. And as much as people don't like it that he calls these plays, he has to continue to call these plays. Why do I think he has to continue to call these plays? One, he has to get experience at calling these plays so he can get better. And he has to get better at it, right? He's not good at it right now. I don't think he's a great play caller, but he does have to get better. How do you get better? You do it. You have to practice it. And unfortunately, you can't practice play calling in practice. You have to do it yourself. It would make no sense for the Browns to have a coach that's this young to not learn how to play call, and then to give that training to an offensive coordinator that's going to end up on somebody else's team if he's any good at his job, right? Kevin's going to be the constant on this team. Kevin's going to be the coach on this team for a long time. He has to learn how to call plays. This is part of the growing pains. We're living through the growing pains of Kevin Stefanski calling plays. It just is what it is. We have to live and grow with it. And I think that's what we forget, is that coaches have growing pains, just like young quarterbacks, just like young players, right? If this were a second-year quarterback, would we be talking about him as absolutely as we talk about Kevin Stefanski? I don't think so, right? Because Baker's in his fourth year, and we don't even like being absolute about Baker's future in his fourth year. So I don't think people would be speaking about Kevin like this if he were a quarterback in his second year. But that's kind of the situation he's in. He's in his second year, and whether you like it or not, the second year in a row, we got a real chance to win a division at the end of the year. We have a real chance to make the playoffs at the end of the year. We are still a contending team, at least for the playoffs in the NFL under Kevin Stefanski for 2 years in a row. There is no Cleveland Browns head coach in the last 20 years since they come back from expansion that can say that. So how can we want this dude gone? No. This is the dude that we stick through some of the growing pains with. And if you think that coaches don't have growing pains, look at the greatest coach of all time, right? Bill Belichick, right? He was in Cleveland for 5 years. He had 4 under 500 seasons, 1-11-5 season. 4 under 500 seasons, 1-11-5 season. Bill Belichick, he was not ready. He was not a finished product at the end of his first year or his second year or his third year or his fourth year or his fifth year. It took like 6 years for this dude to be good. Now, coaches aren't going to be afforded 6 years like Bill Belichick was afforded 6 years in 2 jobs. Or you might get 6 years in 2 jobs if you're like okay at being a coach, but you're not going to get 6 years, and you're not going to get 5 years one place and then a rebound somewhere else. That's not happening anymore. And I think we lose perspective of that coaches are a part of the development of this young team, and that Kevin Stefanski is still developing as a coach. So no, it's not time to give up on him or time to take responsibilities away from him because he's not good at things right now. You have to trust that he's good enough and talented enough to get better at those things. And that's why you keep throwing those responsibilities at him, right? A quarterback is not going to reach his potential if every time he throws an interception, he gets taken off the field, right? That's not a good way to develop quarterbacks. As we all acknowledge that that's not a good way to develop quarterbacks. So why would we do the same to a coach? Right. And that's where I'm like, hey, people need to afford Kevin some grace. People need to back off of Kevin Stefanski, back off of yelling at him to give up the play calling. We need to let this dude develop just like any other player. Right. And the fact of the matter is this developing is bearing fruit. This is the best run the Browns have had ever in expansion history, quite frankly. And if 7-6 and having a chance to make the playoffs and win the division is the worst that Kevin Stefanski is going to do, it's like a Mike Tomlin bad year. What are we complaining about at that point? So, yeah, I get there's frustration with Kevin Stefanski. I get why there's going to be frustration with Kevin Stefanski. But I also ask that fans keep in the perspective that Kevin's a second-year head coach, and he's super young. He's got to develop. There's going to be growing pains. We need to accept that there's going to be growing pains. This is not a retread. This is not a 50-year-old dude getting a job for the first time. This is a very young guy getting a head coaching job and in his second year. And quite frankly, he was really good his first year, won coach of the year, and he is okay this year, right? It is a down year compared to last year so far, but you know, there's no reason to give up on him, right? If this were Kevin Stefanski's first year, we would quite frankly be over the moon. It's just that he won coach of the year that like now we act like he's done developing. He's not done developing. He's in his second year. Let's afford him that grace. Let's let Kevin grow, and let's not want to fire him for what are obvious growing pains. Like, I think he's going to get better down the line. And again, anybody in the comment section is like, I don't see it with the guy, or he's not going to be good. I could just tell. I wonder what people were saying about Bill Belichick when he got fired by Cleveland/Baltimore, right? After those 5 years. I bet people were saying they don't see it. This guy's a jerk. He's not going to make it. LOL, he cut Bernie Kosar, right? Like, how good can he be? And then he became Bill Belichick. That's just my thing. Let these coaches develop, give them some grace. Let's not be so quick to fire people. Like, let's not be the meme at this point. But that's my thoughts on this game. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.